What's up, everybody? So last episode we started on the 3.5-inch exhaust for the Z, and I read out argon for it. So this week I went and got a fresh bottle of argon, and I've already gotten started continuing on with the exhaust. I've got just a straight section put on so far, and then I've got to do the beginning of the front section of the piece that goes over the rear subframe. So let's go ahead and get into it and show you everything I got. Alright, so we got the section coming from the downpipe, ran over into the middle of the trans tunnel, then ran straight back. So now I just got to put a 45 in the back of that and get it to start running over the subframe. So we will continue on and hopefully get this thing finished up pretty quick. Alright, well, I've been working on the exhaust. I got the midsection pretty much figured out. So I've got this V-band to weld to this 45 that's going to start going up over the axle, and then I've got the rest of the system right here tacked up, ready to go. So I'm going to get this one elbow welded up and then get it tacked to the rest of the system, double check my fitment, and then start working on the section we did previously that runs over the axle. Alright, well, here is the midsection all tacked together. Got the V-band welded on up here. So I'm going to throw it on the car, make sure everything still fits good, and then weld this one section up. Alright, so it's placed up under the car where it needs to be. Let me flop up under here and show you. So kind of see the next pipe pretty much lines up perfect with the V-band, and then everything else runs to the back. So we're almost done. Just got to put the other V-band on and put some hangers in place to hold everything, and then we'll start putting the muffler on. Alright, well, I had a bit of a situation last night, so I had to stop. So I'm back in the garage this morning and going to go ahead and get this midsection welded up, and then we'll continue on to the back. So I'm going to get on a quick time lapse and get to it. Midsection is welded up. Gonna wait for it to cool for a little bit and then throw it back in the car. Alright, well now we are on to the rear section that goes over the subframe. So this is what I've got so far. I went ahead and took this piece off, and then I've got some Dykem on it so I can mark where I need to cut the pipe for adding the V-band. So I'm going to get that marked out, and then we'll be able to cut it and get the V-band welded on and continue working. Alright, well I got this thing marked out with the Dykem and then went ahead and scribed everything. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it off with a bandsaw, and then we'll get this V-band welded on. Well, I've got the mid pipe put in under the car, and I'm doing the rear section, and I've pretty much decided I got to start over with it. So I've got the bins cut apart, or at least the first two. So here's the first two bins cut apart, cleaned everything back up so it has a good finish. And then I'm going to climb back under the car and get everything set in place where it's not hitting anything, because that's kind of what I was running into. Is it was hitting on the back of the subframe. So going to play with a little bit more like this, and then we'll get this section tacked up and go on from there. All right, well, I've got everything mocked up. The whole system is pretty much complete except for final welding and some hangers. So I'm going to cut this tip off when I'm ready, and then I guess go ahead and get everything together so I can fire it up. Super excited to hear how this thing sounds and how it all performs. Alright, well, I decided not to record any more of me building the exhaust, but it is finally complete. We just had a hurricane come through and I didn't have power for a little bit, so it took a little while to get everything finished, but it's done. I'm really happy with it. I've got one thing I got to figure out. I don't know if I want to do a straight tip, like a slash cut tip, or like a small turn down at the very end of the muffler. But I will go ahead and show you what the system looks like. I'm really happy with it. And then I'll get everything back together and we'll get this thing fired up. We got the car all back together, so let's go ahead and get this thing fired up and see how it sounds. I'm really excited, but also kind of nervous because I want it to sound good. So let's see. well, that's pretty good. Not too loud so far. It's just here in the garage, so we'll see what it's like out on the road. But pretty satisfied. It's a little raspy. We'll see what it's like at 7 grand when I wind this thing out. I only revved it about 3,000 RPM, but it sounds good. Nice deep tone. So we will definitely see what it's like out on the road. But unfortunately, it is starting to rain, and this car is not fun out in the rain. So yeah, but that is all the time I have today. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more content, and have a good night.